welcome to the Fruit Snacks Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Wardrop from Drop the Word Life Coaching. I am the T1D Moms Coach. I'm here to help you manage your mental and emotional health while managing your child's diabetes. 2 of my 5 kiddos have been diagnosed, and so I'm very familiar with your struggles, and I don't know where I'd be without these life coaching tools and the gospel of Jesus Christ to get me through the day and night. Thank you for joining me as we journey towards feeling less scared, sad, and stressed, and start feeling more calm, confident, and connected. Let's get started. All right, welcome back to the Fruit Snacks Podcast with Emily Wardrop. That's me. I'm Emily Wardrop from Drop the Word Life Coaching, and we are focusing on helping the other moms who have kids with type 1 diabetes around here now. Okay. So in the Believe You Are a Good Mom podcast that we just wrapped up, we talked a lot about shame versus guilt. So today we're going to talk about it specifically in the T1D mom lens, right? So how do shame and guilt show up in our parenting our type 1 diabetic kiddos? And as I was thinking about this, it was taking me back to my days of the Believe You Are a Good Mom podcast, like last week. And my days even older than that. My very first freebie I made as the Drop the Word Life Coach was 5 secrets to sanity. Maybe it's 4 secrets. I don't remember how many secrets I gave you. But to keep your sanity with little kids in the house, right? And that freebie is still available actually on droptheword.com. I'm sure you can find it somewhere if you want to watch one of my earliest, very old videos. Anyway, secret number 1, I'll let you in on the secret of the secret, was that there's no mommy report card. Okay. So basically that means that your kid's behavior does not determine whether you're a good mom or not, right? We just talked about that for a whole year on the podcast. So the reason why I bring that up now is that, guilt and shame is just entrenched in our parenting. Okay, so it's really, really essential that we understand the difference between guilt and shame, that we drop the mom shame. I have a whole video series on that too. All the good stuff, which I'm sure you can find on my website somewhere still also. It just keeps scrolling down on that homepage. It's probably there. Let's see. Okay, so the basic idea is that guilt is behavioral based. Guilt means that I did something wrong, which is great. We want to feel guilty. It's feeling when we do something that's out of whack with who we truly are. So it's against our values. It's against our who we are, right? Our moral code. We want to feel bad if we do something bad, right? We have a moral code, right and wrong, good and bad. And so guilt is great. It keeps you on the path, right? But some of us have an overactive guilt complex, and that's where the there's no mommy report card really helps. So if you feel guilty, because I always use this example, I'm sorry, it comes out, it just rolls right off my tongue. If you feel guilty because you sent your kids off to school without brushing their hair, is that morally wrong to not brush their hair? Right? So guilt is a little overactive sometimes because this is not a moral issue, right? So I was trying to believe this for a long time, that there's no mommy report card. It was my first secret to sanity, right? I was trying to stay sane. These kids are driving me crazy. The way to not have them drive you crazy is to understand that their behavior is not determining whether you're a good mom or not, right? So that kind of helps you, believing you're a good mom helps you keep your sanity and know that however your kids are behaving, that's not a reflection on you, right? I was trying to understand this. I was trying to believe this. And then the diabetes diagnosis. So there's no mommy report card, but there is a Dexcom. So your Dexcom gives you a read every 5 minutes. And if you use that glucose level number as a grade, you will go insane. I'm telling you, to keep your sanity, you have to believe there's no mommy report card. You have to believe that blood glucose level does not mean that you're passing or failing. Okay. So your brain is subconsciously doing this, and that's why you're so stressed out. So we got to get awareness of what our thoughts are, right? So when you look at that glucose monitor and it says that it's higher or lower than your, target rate that you want to be at, guess what? It's going to be a roller coaster. No one's blood sugar levels in a healthy body, like if you attached a glucose monitor to a, non-diabetic person, it's not going to stay perfectly straight. It's going to be a roller coaster. That's how our bodies work, right? So if we freak out every time it's too high or too low, then we're dealing with what we talked about last week, right? Being in panic mode, freak out mode way too often. And then our brains are hijacked and we are not the calm, collected, connected mom that we want to be, right? And that's no good for managing diabetes. We need to have our brains online. So we have to remind ourselves that this is not a report card. The glucagon, the Dexcom monitor. Oh, the jargon. All the lingo is getting stuck in my mouth. The Dexcom is not a report card, okay? What's this have to do with guilt and shame? So if I didn't even explain. Okay, so guilt, right, is that we do something out of alignment with our values, right? But shame means that there's something wrong with us, that we are bad. So guilt, we did something bad. Shame, we are bad, which is a lie. Shame is always a lie. But our brains are wired towards shame, our kids too. And so when we freak out that the glucose number is quote unquote wrong, high or too low, and we make that mean something with our shame complex, right? Then our kids are picking up on that too, and they're making it mean that there's something wrong with them. So that's the problem with shame. It's a problem that when we feel it, it's a problem when we project it onto our kids, and it's a problem if it's connected to diabetes, because there's nothing shameful about their diabetes. There's nothing shameful about what they ate. There's nothing shameful about what it's doing to their glucose levels. Okay. We really have to get clear on this, that shame has no place in diabetes. Okay. It was not your fault that your child got diabetes. It's not your fault that it's too high, too low, too anything. It's all just a management issue. Okay. So this is not a moral issue. It's a management issue. Okay. We're just managing their diabetes. It doesn't have to mean anything about you or them morally, right? But our brains like to make things black and white, right and wrong. And this is really not a moral issue. Okay. So we can just kick shame to the curb when it comes to diabetes. There's nothing to be shameful about, nothing that you did wrong, that your kid did wrong ever. Okay. So we really have to wrap our heads around that. Otherwise, we're going to pass it on to them also. And don't we all have enough shame complexes about food, even without diabetes, right? So even if you're in the camp of a diabetes diet, we still don't have to vilify the foods that are going to spike our glucose levels, right? So it's just choices, right? And there's no hell to pay, right? It's just choices. So we have to remember, we have to remind our brain, we have to consciously think things, mantra them, meditate them, whatever we got to do to remember that there's no shame in diabetes, that you did not do anything wrong. The kid did not do anything wrong. This is not a moral issue. We're just managing their blood sugar levels. Okay. So, the kid sister to guilt and shame is shoulds, right? We should all over ourselves. Oh, I shouldn't have given them this. I should do this. I shouldn't do that. Oh my goodness, the shoulds. So as we're getting conscious about our thoughts, let's red flag the ones that have should or supposed to, all the supposed tos. Those are always a red flag that we're doing something in guilt energy. So I really want to talk about guilt energy, because this is a new thing I just came up with right before I hit record, as I was Marco Poloing with my coach friends. So because my one friend was talking about, you know how people talk about this a lot. Hold on. What's it called? Now it left me. Hustle energy, right? So she was talking about hustle energy, which we talk about a lot in entrepreneurial circles, you know, having businesses and things and really just Americans. We're all in the hustle energy all the time. As moms, are you kidding me? Yes, definitely hustle energy. So that got me thinking about what energy am I usually coming from? And it's usually guilt energy, right? So when we're driven by our thoughts that are like, I'm supposed to, I should, I shouldn't, I guess I better, all the duty, guilt, thoughts. Like I said, guilt, a healthy amount of guilt is great. It keeps us in line with who we truly are, with our values and our own moral codes, right? But sometimes, again, we're using that glucagon shot way too often, right? It's good in healthy amounts, but we do not need to be in guilt energy all the time. So we get rid of the shame altogether, and then we got to manage our guilt just like we're managing the blood sugar levels, right? There's a lot to keep managed. And manage means not highs or lows, right? We're trying to stay in a steady range. So the roller coasters, right? Get off the roller coaster. So managing the guilt is just, it means sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't, but we don't need the highs or lows, right? So we don't need guilt energy. There's nothing you're supposed to do, you have to do, you should do, whatever. If those thoughts start creeping in, then we just question them, right? It's not a problem. We just want to coach around that, right? So this is what we do in coaching, right? We get conscious of what thoughts you're thinking, decide, do we want to be thinking these? Are these useful? Are they creating the emotions and the actions and the results that we want in our life? And if not, we can come up with new thoughts and work on believing them. So that's what we do in coaching. And also, like last week we talked about, is the feeling work, right? And the nervous system work, right? To keep us regulated in order to help regulate our kids. Okay. So guilt versus shame. That was about the most scattered podcast I could have done on guilt versus shame. I actually have a podcast already. And since all we did was change the name of this podcast, you can go back and find it about guilt versus shame. But as far as diabetes goes, the main message I really want you to start trying on and see if you believe this thought and if it serves you better, is that there's no need for shame in diabetes. Shame says that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your kids. If we believe that, then we can stop the cycle of passing down shame, which, I mean, parenting in general used to be very shame-based, and we're trying to get away from that. But the records in our heads are still playing the old records, right? We need to change it to some MP3 files that you are of worth 100%. So are your kids. Nothing's gone wrong here. And if you don't believe me, then let's get on a call and chat it out. So I just added a new appointment type. So when you go to dropthewar.com/appointments, you can get a free complimentary coaching call. And I would love to help you, my T1D mama, with your guilt versus shame, if you're buried in shoulds, and let's drop that guilt energy, because guilt is good in small amounts. It definitely doesn't need to go to shame, and it doesn't need to be driving all of our actions all day long. That's exhausting. So we need some rest and digest for our nervous systems, right? And guilt energy is not resting or digesting. Okay. So question, comments, hit me up. Drop the War Life Coach on Instagram. I'd love to chat with you there. Facebook, YouTube, all the places, or just go straight to dropthewar.com and sign up for a free Zoom chat. I'll see you on Zoom. Okay. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye. Hi, thanks so much for listening. Have you signed up for your RBC yet? What is an RBC? Well, it's a relationship boost call, and I am gifting 365 of these for free this year. So go to dropthewar.com/appointments to find a time that works for both of us. We'll hop on Zoom for a quick 15 to 20 minutes, and all you got to do is have somebody in mind that you want to improve your relationship with. It's fun, it's easy, it's a good time. You're going to feel amazing afterwards. And no strings attached. Just come on, have a great free coaching call, and then go on your way. And you can come back for as many as you need, because we know it's no one and done around here with relationships. So go to dropthewar.com/appointments to find a time that works for both of us. And let's get boosting those relationships. See you there. Bye.